So, do you like to keep things in the door pockets of your car? Probably yes. Do you like to illuminate those things? Probably yes. I'll show you how to do both of those. So, today I am going to add some ambient lighting. So you've already got some there, but I'm going to put some down there because I just love having everything that's in my door pockets illuminated, whether that's receipts, whether that's whatever have you. I want everyone to see it, and I want to be reminded that it's there at all times when it's dark. So, I don't know what you guys grab at the junkyard when you go, but when I go, I get these. And what these are acrylic rods from the BMW E35 and E66. Sometimes they break when I take them out, sometimes they don't, and they stay complete. Now, why is this relevant? Back here, there's an LED that sits right there, and this is another piece of acrylic that is just diffused, and the LED shoots light, and this carries it. That's the point of these lines right here. I've taken apart many BMW taillights and all of that, particularly the E39, to figure out this technology because they figured out a way to use one LED to light up a very wide area. So they use these, they stick an LED at the end of it, which is what goes in this hole here, and that just shoots light across. So you can light an entire door with one piece as opposed to having a strip that goes across and having hot spots, because hot spots are bad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this door panel off. I'm going to take care of that. I'm going to replace this, and then right up in here I'm going to cut a slot out where I will place this in an LED. I will then wire that to this LED in parallel, and then you'll have ambient lighting down here so that you can see my handicap sticker and anything else I put inside of there. So with the door panel off, which is pretty simple to do, like I said, let's just take out the screw that's in the middle of that, which goes there, and you can slide this through the hole right there and unplug all your speakers and your window controls, and the lower light down here is kind of a booger, but pull that out. See the back of the door panel here. So once you have this covered, or uncovered rather, you can see that the way this thing is set up is pretty simple. It's just this like fiber board material stuff, and on the other side of this is the vinyl that's, that it's covered with right there. And all you gotta do is get you like a ruler or something like that and mark your space where this is going to be cut. I have ample rods to pick from. Like I said, it's okay that they break sometimes because I don't need it to run the full length of the door. So take this one for example. Really simple. It's already, it's made to do what I'm about to do with it. So just kind of set that there. It's got a little curve to it, but it'll straighten out once you get it actually on. Set it there, and you get a rough idea of what's going to happen. So I'm going to cut a line that's about that long. I'll put this right there. I will put it with the ridges facing upward because I want the smooth surface outward, and I will put it fixed and put an LED on the end of it. The other thing too with this is, with these, it's a rounded deal. It usually is round. Up there it's flat. So you can also like mill this or plane it to where you have a flat surface so it's not kind of sticking out, but being where it is being so low, like you're not ever going to see it unless you look for it. So for the sake of this and what this car is, I'm not going to do that. In my E34 I did, but here, no. Moving forward, so I'm going to cut this hole out. I'm going to mark it first with a ruler, and then I will use either an X-Acto, a Dremel, or whatever is available to make that hole. So once you've got your lines marked, you go in with some tape to ensure that you're not confused. I usually go about 4 to 5 millimeters wide. It's okay to have these a little bit smaller as opposed to having them too big for this to fit into it. So once you got that laid out, go ahead and mark your endpoint. Again, you can make it as long as you want. I don't want to be excessive, so then I'll just put that over there. I put this one here, mark it on the tape. Same thing there, same thing there. So now we have pretty clear cut where we're going to cut. You take this here, this thing up, make sure, as with every tool, you got to fire it up. Give it a good rev every so often, make sure it's good, and then you cut. now we've got a hole. Pretty decent. Yeah, we're going to remove the tape. Well, just pull it like that. Pull this one like that. There's a hole. So this usually can fit pretty damn snugly in there. So with the curve, we can actually use that to our advantage because that'll put some tension on it. And from here, you just cut this piece down to size. So come in, measure this, how many millimeters that you cut it, and then cut this accordingly. And once this is cut to length, what I'll also do is just put kind of an edge at the end of it, and that is what will sit on top of this edge here. So once you get that there, that'll just sit nicely on top of that, call it a day. The end result is that gets to sit there, that gets to go down in there, and it will sit like so. And that will run up and almost perfectly into where it's going to be wired up there. So it doesn't need much wire. The wire will go behind here like the rest of them. And yeah, so getting this affixed, let's talk about that. So what they did to affix things was this tape. Now that's not always the best option, but it's, if you have that option, it works sometimes. Sometimes the stuff sticks to the stuff pretty well. So you can use tape and run it that way. So you can kind of, run it longitudinally. So it covers the whole thing and keeps light from polluting anything up here, anywhere else. It just keeps the light going downward as opposed to back here. You can use the 3M panel bond, and you can use that to affix this end and that end. Do a good dab there, a good dab there. You can also rough this up a little bit, and you can use hot glue. That's probably the simplest and most accessible option for a lot of people. I am probably going to end up using tape because I've got some of this stuff. So to keep it a buck, this stuff is actually medical tape that comes in the first aid kit of this car, which sits back here in this little place if you still have it. My cars have always had it, so I have ample supply of this. I've got two sitting right here. I just pulled this one out of the 750. So yeah, this stuff here is actually mad sticky and works very, very, very well. So with this, the key thing is just making sure that this surface is clean, not dusty from having just been cut. So clean it up, brush all that stuff up, maybe get a rag with some like alcohol on it just to really, really clean it up. And this will do a really good job. So the best way to actually do this, because using the factory end will run up and into the speaker box, is to basically cut off the bend that it's got and then polish that end. And then you can actually take a heat shrink and an LED on the end of this, and it keeps them together perfectly, just like these things do. This basically has little channels in it that hold both the acrylic rod and the LED like right against each other, so that when the LED shines, it goes directly into the end of the rod and onward. It actually sits a little bit flatter so that it won't run into the speaker box, and so this will stay that way, and everything should still work as we planned. You've got this up here that's already laid out for you. So in BMW, for the past ever, as long as they've had interior lighting, the gray wire with the red stripe is the illumination wire. This is consistent throughout the entire car, and I've had these apart many times. That's what it is. Gray wire, red stripe, illumination. It's going to happen when you turn your lights on. That is going to illuminate. You can't see because it's daylight, but yes, that's what happens. So just tap into that. There is another one that sits right up here. It's throughout this little loom here, so you can tap into that. You can come back here and do like a little T thingy. There's a lot of ways to tap into it, so just make sure that you get into an illumination wire, and that will be your ticket there. Now, when I part a car out, I usually grab as many of these as possible, these little connectors, just because it's OEM And you can repin them if you really want to get into it. There's like ends and stuff that you can put on the ends of these wires. I usually just cut the pigtails and leave enough for me to solder, you know, more wires onto that. And the whole point of this is so that when I do stuff like this, which is relatively often, that I can, just like everything else, quickly disconnect it from the door and not have to pull the LED out or anything like that. It's just a quick modular, you know, unplug it, and yeah. So this is going to be the plug for the ambient lighting that's going in the door. At every step of the way here, you're going to want to make sure that everything still works, just in case, you know, I'll make sure that this is still what it's supposed to do. And once everything is good and in its place and all that, then start reassembling. So once you've got your door panel back in, you know, reinstalled how it's supposed to be, you have that light there. Next thing that you see is going to be this at night. So this is the end result. We've got our illumination here. There, obviously, throughout the rest of the car. But then also down there, we've got ambient lighting that is now lighting up everything in there. It's just enough to be subtle, and that's really what you want. You don't want to have anything overpowering, anything that's blinding or even offensive to the eyes, but it's just enough. And if you have a lighter interior, you know, it's going to be, you know, more highlighted. You know, if you have like a beige or a gray interior, anything that reflects more light is going to reflect more light. But on black, I mean, this mod works on any car, you know, and this is what I use to do most of the ambient lighting that I do. There are other things that I do, like speaker illumination and the underneath the wood illumination. Those are done a little bit differently. If you guys, you know, get the word out and I see that there's a demand for it, I'll do a how-to on how to do the speaker illumination, on how to do the underwood ambient lighting. That's slightly different. You can do it like this. This is one way to do it, but if you're going to go with RGB or anything like that, particularly sequential like Mercedes does, it gets way more complicated. And so I can show you, but I have to see that there's a demand for it. But that is how I do a lot of my ambient lighting. So yeah, like and share the video, and, you know, subscribe and share it on Instagram and do all of that. That helps me out a lot. So until next time.